the facial features of his body started to sag. His body started to move like a tree in the wind, just rocking back and forth slowly. And we didn't know what to do. Like it went on for some time. Seemed like a long time. It wasn't such a long time. Hansaduta stood up. He was a very good kirtan singer. Picked up the mridanga, very softly, solo. He sang nice melody and chanted Hare Krishna for 2 times around. Prabhupada opened his eyes. He looked around the room. His facial features went back to normal. He got up off the Vyasa and we went upstairs to his room. That was it. It was the end of class. It was a big scene. I mean, it was a controversy of sorts. What do you do when your spiritual master goes into trance? And some were faulting Hansaduta. You shouldn't have done that. So they asked Prabhupada. But he said, no, that's fine. Life is suitable in any occasion. He made light of it. He didn't get into what happened. There was the controversy was, did Hansaduta do the wrong thing? Some people were, up in arms. That's beside the point. What the point is, Uddhava went into trance. Uddhava went into trance. And when he went into trance, like we did, Vidura was silent. And then specifically, the Bhagavatam describes because Vidura was senior to him in years, and it cultured people, even in the West, certainly in Vedic culture, elderly, learned persons, as was Vidura. It was by birth he wasn't, but by character and by age he was to be respected. So he wanted to serve him. So Vidura had asked him some questions. He wanted to serve him. How is Krishna? So he started, there's a whole, 2 chapters, and he starts speaking about Krishna. And he starts speaking about his quality and his character, and then he speaks about his pastimes. It's like a mini summary of his Braja Lila, then Mathura Lila, then Dwarka Lila. A retelling of Krishna's pastimes. Canto 2, what's coming in Canto 10. And there are a number of situations, the writings of our acharyas where Krishna's pastimes in Braja, followed by Krishna's pastimes outside of Braja. Gopal Champu by Jiva Goswami is like that. Rupa Goswami's Vidagdha Madhava, Lita Madhava is like that. Just a retelling and retelling and retelling. So we're going to not just do a retell, we're going to go through the whole pastime, but he's contemplating the merciful nature of Krishna to grant the position of mother to a she-demon Putana. Let's read. How shall I take shelter of one more merciful than Lord Krishna, who granted the position of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she was faithless and had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Faithless and murderous. And Krishna gave her position of mother in Goloka Vrindavan. Who can be more merciful than Krishna? From Krishna book about Putana Lila. The transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna are so powerful that simply by hearing, reading, and memorizing this book, Krishna, one is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world which is ordinarily very difficult to achieve. Now, Phoenix is not so far away from San Diego. It's not right around the corner, but it's not so far away. In San Diego, there's a number of very nice devotees. One of them is Dravida. Do any of you know Dravida? Some of you know Dravida. He's memorized Krishna book. You can press a chapter 3 button and he can recite it verbatim. Is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world, which is ordinarily very difficult to achieve. He took it literally and memorized chapters. Now, I haven't been in his association in a long time, so I don't know if he still has that. When you get older, something happens to memory, you know. But the description of the pastimes of Lord Krishna is so attractive that it automatically gives us an impetus to study repeatedly. And the more we study the pastimes of the Lord, the more we become attached to him. So this is our palastuti. This is the fruit of hearing the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan. May you become more attached to him. Me too, more attached to him. And now comes the pastime of Putana. This same pastime is not only told in the Bhagavatam, but it's told elsewhere in Brahma Vaivarta Purana. It describes Putana's past life. Ratnamala, the younger sister of Bali Maharaj. So we all know the story of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was visited by Vamanadev, and his younger sister Ratnamala was present. And when Ratnamala, this is Brahma Vaivarta Purana, when she saw Vamanadev, she desired that he might become her son, wishing to suckle him out of material affection. So this is a previous pastime, previous form of the Lord, Vamanadev. The Supreme Lord, feeling obliged to her father, his pure devotee, that's Bali, and understanding her heart, addressed Ratnamala, promising that whatever desire she was cherishing in that moment would be fulfilled. However, notice she's in the background here, watching all of this. When Ratnamala saw how Lord Vamanadev tricked her father and tied him up like a vagabond, she became angry and bitter. Looking at the Lord, she thought maliciously, if you become my son, then not only will I feed you, I will kill you. It's not exactly motherly affection, is it? According to the original benediction that Lord Vamana had offered, Ratnamala would have the opportunity to suckle him as her child. However, because her sentiments had now swung so violently at the opposite extreme, by exercise of his unlimited intelligence, Lord Vamana ingeniously supplied the solution by smoothly incorporating the suitable reactions to both diverse desires in a single event. That's Brahma Vaivarta Purana's explanation. And in Garga Samhita, similar but different, Ratnamala felt for the Lord maternal affection. A special consideration regarding the descendants of Prahlad Maharaj. As we know, Bali was a descendant of Prahlad, and Prahlad had great appreciation and love for Lord Nrsingadev, and Lord Nrsingadev for him. When Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, he guaranteed Prahlad Maharaj that he would never again personally kill any member of succeeding generations in Prahlad Maharaj's dynasty. Now that's from 10th Canto, chapter 63. This promise also extended to cover family members in their next lives as well. So, one of the sons of Bali Maharaj, according to Garga Samhita, was Sahasika, one of Bali Maharaj's sons. That means he's the grandson of Prahlad. In his next life, Sahasika became Dhenukasura demon. We're going to hear something about Dhenukasura during this visit. Sahasika became Dhenukasura, so instead of Krishna killing him, Balaram killed him. He kept his promise. At this point, the question may be raised. If Krishna would not kill Dhenuka personally, then why did he kill Putana, who was Dhenuka's sister? And the answer? According to the scriptures, we find that because Putana was female, she did not officially qualify as a member of her great-grandfather's dynasty, and for this reason was eligibly killed by the Lord himself. Clever. And then there's another description. We're just going off a little bit on Krishna's killing of Putana. And this is a different narration. This is Adi Purana, chapter 18. Charomati, the wife of the elevated devotee Kakshivanta. She was a wife. She became seduced by a Sudra while her husband was away. Charomati abandoned all faithful services to Lord Hari, even her household duties, and became incorrigible. Upon returning, after trying repeatedly and gently to correct his wife, Kakshivata cursed her to take birth as a Rakshasa, perform all sinful activities, and cause disturbance in the world. Yet one day in the future, Sri Krishna will kill you and give you the benediction. That will give you liberation from that Rakshasa birth, or Rakshasi. And one more from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Putana was the sister of Kamsa. She was the sister of Kamsa. She had been given mystic powers by Durvasa Muni. Now, Kamsa sent demons, and Putana was the first demon that Kamsa sent to kill Krishna. He didn't know where Krishna was, but he knew that Krishna was present. How did he know? Because after he tried to kill the female child, she slipped from his hand, flew in the sky. We're going to hear about this on Sunday at the temple. She laughed loudly at Kamsa and informed him that the 8th child of Devaki has already taken birth elsewhere, and that 8th child of Devaki will kill you. So then he knew not only he had failed to kill the 8th child because she slipped from his hands and flew into the sky and became Durga, but the 8th child of Devaki was elsewhere. So he sent spies. You know, he's a king. So and he sent his sister, according to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, to find him. She had mystic powers. Durvasa Muni gave her mystic powers. And when she came from Mathura, into Braja. She had shape-changing abilities, so she appeared as if a Brahmani, and she was telling others that she was the wife of a Mathura Brahmana. She didn't give the name. She wasn't married. Doesn't mind lying. When Lord Krishna killed her, a great chariot came to take her to Goloka Vrindavan. Now, that's an interesting chariot, isn't it? That's probably not what the chariot looked like. It had 100 wheels and was totally jewel encrusted, 10,000 chamras and 10,000 mirrors. She got royal escort back to the spiritual world. So back to this history. You heard the history. Here it is again. Kamsa, hearing the voice from the sky that the eighth child of Devaki would kill him. This is on the chariot ride from their marriage back to Vasudev's home. He drew his sword and grabbed her hair with his other hand and was ready to chop her head. Vasudev was a minister by his demeanor, by his nature. So he tried his ministerial skills. And Kamsa, we're looking at the screen over here. Excuse me. We're looking at a screen over here. So if you want to see the screen, you have to sit, unless you look on your phone and you can see it on your phone or something like that. That's a possibility. When Vasudev was born, there was sounds from the sky, celestial drums and singers, and declaring his greatness. His greatness, one of his greatnesses specifically was he would always tell the truth. He was known for that characteristic. He would always tell the truth. So when Vasudev made a promise, a pledge, a truthful pledge, he kept his word. Don't kill your sister. What's that? Not nice. Kill your sister on her wedding day. But it's not her anyway. It's the children, and I'll provide the children. You can do with the children whatever you like, but don't kill your sister on her wedding day. So he accepted on the strength of Vasudev being truthful. And sure enough, one by one, when the sons were born, Vasudev brought the sons to Kamsa. Now here's Kamsa saying, no, it's not the first child, it's the eighth child, so you keep the child. But his ministers advised him otherwise. You never know. You should kill each of the sons born of Vasudeva. And so on the bottom right, that's what he did. His program was when the children were born, he grabbed the children by their feet. He picked the child up in the air and smashed the child on a rock. That was his program. Not a nice brother. Not a nice personality. And with full knowledge, Vasudeva kept his word, knowing what Kamsa would do. Then when it came to the seventh child of Devaki, we're going to hear about this on Sunday because it has everything to do with Durga on the occasion of Navaratri. So you can hear it again. Krishna summoned. Krishna hadn't been born yet. He's the eighth child, and this is seventh child in the womb of Devaki. He summoned his Yogamaya potency. Now, what does Yogamaya potency want to do? Service. With folded palms. Yes, some service. What can I do? I have 3 services for you. What's that? 1. in the womb of Devaki is the seventh child. I want you to transfer the seventh child, who is Balaram, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He's very heavy because he's Balaram, but don't worry, I'll give you the capacity. You can do the service. By the way, it's a detail, but in the womb of Rohini, there was already an expansion of Balaram named Sankarshan. Rohini, mother of Balaram, had in her womb Sankarshan, and the original Balaram, Mula Sankarshan Balaram, entered into and merged with Sankarshan, his expansion. So now Rohini is ready to give birth to a son. But the pregnancy of Rohini was longer or earlier than the eighth child of Devaki. So Balaram, decided to stay in the womb extra long because he wanted to come just before Krishna appeared. So a number of months is calculated by our acharyas. How many months Balaram was in the womb of Rohini? That was service number 1 for Yogamaya. Service number 2. I'll become the eighth child of Devaki. Simultaneously, you will take birth, please, this is service number 2. You take birth as the daughter of Yashoda. Will both appear on the same night, at midnight. So when we observe Krishna Janmashtami, where it's a double birthday, you have to have 2 birthday cakes. One for Krishna, one for Yogamaya. So you'll take birth as the daughter of Yashoda, and part of that same service is, I'm going to request Vasudev, there's space in the back. Just come on around the back. Mataji, we'll just kind of stop speaking so you can come and see the screen. You got to come around back, though. And there's room for men also. Just come around. If you don't want to see the screen, it's okay. Because this is a Zoom broadcast, you can check it out on your check it out on your phone. If you're sitting over there and you can't see, you don't want to see the big screen. Okay. So we're still on service number 2. Come on over. Come on over. Okay. Yogamaya is getting her instructions from Krishna. You'll take birth as the seventh, as the child of Yashoda. Same night, I'll take birth as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. And part 2 of mission number 2, I'm going to request Vasudeva to transfer me from the prison house to the other side of the river Jamuna and place me by the side of Yashoda. And then you will be taken by Vasudeva back to the prison house, and that's the end of service part 2. Service part 3. Kamsa, when he finds out the eighth child of Devaki has been born, he's going to come into the prison house and try to kill you, but don't worry, you're my Yogamaya potency, you can't be killed. And then your third service is, after he fails to kill you, you can then fly in the sky, say some strong words to Kamsa that the eighth child of Devaki has already been born. And then for the rest of the time, you Yogamaya will be known by your expansion, Durga, and different names of Durga will see this Sunday. This is Canto 10, Chapter 2, the Advent of Lord Krishna chapter. So, sure enough, Krishna was born. Sure enough, as Krishna indicated, he instructed Vasudeva before he assumed the childlike form. It was in this four-armed Vasudeva Krishna form. Take me on the other side. You requested me to assume a childlike form. I will. But as soon as that happens, take me to the other side of the river Jamuna. Now it was at night, and at night there's clouds in the sky, so the sky is not even moon or starlight just because it's cloudy. And it was very stormy. But because Krishna is self-effulgent, he could cross, and because the hoods of Anantashesh protected him, he was like an umbrella. So he made his way across, and the lower right side, you see Vasudeva, and placing Krishna by the side of Yashoda, and that little female child is Yogamaya, and he lifted Yogamaya and brought Yogamaya back. And Kamsa failed to kill Yogamaya, etc. So now Nanda and Yashoda are the parents, so to speak, parents. They don't know the difference that Krishna is their child. And simultaneously, Rohini, or shortly before, Rohini gave birth, and so the elder brother Balaram and the younger brother Krishna grew up as being cared for by Nanda. Now, Rohini was one of the wives of Vasudeva. Rohini was one of the wives. Vasudeva had a lot of wives. He had 18 wives. He's a busy guy, 18 wives. And while he was in prison, he had access to associate with his other wife besides Devaki, who was in prison with him. And the child was conceived, Vasudeva and Rohini, because of the atrocities of Kamsa. For her safety during her pregnancy, she was sent to be with Nanda, because Nanda is just like brother, kind of, not biological brother, but like a brother. He had a great affinity for Nanda. So Devaki, Rohini was under the care of Nanda Maharaj. When Rohini gave birth to Balaram, Nanda, treated Balaram just like his own son. Although he's Rohini Nandana, not Nanda Nandana, but he's treated like that. And then the two boys grew up together with great affection for one another, and many, many nice pastimes took place. And together, the two, Krishna and Balaram, assumed the form and activities of cowherd boys, village boys. This is Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Although he appeared like an ordinary human to the common people, Sri Krishna, who is famous as the beautiful form of auspicious, of supreme transcendence, has a completely pure spiritual body manifesting along with his divine consort. He fully satisfied the minds of everyone. So this is Krishna with the calves in Vrindavan, because Krishna was very eager to take care of the cows, but his father said, no, they're too big. So they had a big festival, Gopastami festival, big festival. And Krishna was given permission to herd the calves with the cowherd boys. So here's this painting that shows Kamsa being told by Durga that the eighth child has already been born. Yeah. Remembering his past enmity toward Lord Vishnu, that cruel and wicked Kamsa sent Putana, Rakshasi, to Vrindavan to kill baby Krishna. So he heard, and he wanted to kill Krishna, but he has to find Krishna. But he's not the omniscient supreme Lord. He's just a big demon. So he sent his sister. According to Ananda Vrindavan Champu, she was as foreboding as an evil planet. So she's searching and searching and searching. We heard she has this capacity for shape changing. She appeared as a very, very beautiful woman. This is how she got access to the place where Krishna was in his baby crib, because normally that's off limits to people. But she was so stunningly beautiful, they let her in. This is a painting showing Kamsa with his different demon associates. Right in the front row, that's Putana, but others and others and others that were sent by Kamsa to try to destroy Krishna. Down at the bottom, that's Baka. Another painting showing the same, with their names above, etc. And there's only one woman who is Putana. Ananda Vrindavan Champu writes, Raja Raj Nanda, having accepted the customs of ordinary people, followed the proper etiquette to protect his city, and went to Mathura with other senior men to pay taxes to King Kamsa for their yearly milk production. In other words, this Putana attacking Krishna occurred when Kamsa was out of town, when Nanda was out of town. Again, Nanda had gone to Mathura to pay his taxes. He was in general very careful to give protection because he is a king designated by Mathura king. The prior Mathura king was Ugrasena. Ugrasena appointed Nanda to be king of Braja, which is part of the kingdom, the agricultural part of the larger kingdom in Mathura. But he appointed him as king of the village, the countryside, the productive part of his kingdom. He's the king. And the elders were with him because that's how they functioned. Secretly, Vasudeva and Nanda met because they're friends, like brothers. So he met secretly with him. Vasudeva explained to Nanda, because Vasudeva knows that Nanda doesn't know that the child that he's raising as his child isn't his child. He doesn't say, by the way, Krishna is not your child. He doesn't say that. He says that Kamsa is wicked. Here's what happened to the first 6 children of Devaki. And he's probably, beware, he's probably going to search for the 8th child. Protect Krishna, please. Immediately return to Vrindavan as soon as possible and see that Krishna gets protected. That's the word from Vasudeva to Nanda. Nanda Maharaj was very much afraid for his newborn child with this information. So he appointed the local cowherd men to protect his home and child. So they're still in Mathura. Do not stay in this place for many days. Better to return to Gokul since I know that there may be some disturbances there. Now, when there's disturbances, when he gets back and sees the havoc that happened, he thinks, wow, Vasudev's a clairvoyant mystic or something. He has some special powers. So here's the beginning of chapter 6. This is, pastime is from Canto 10, chapter 6. When he got back, Nanda returns. When Nanda Maharaj was on his way home, he considered what Vasudeva had said could not be false or useless. Na rishyati. There must have been some danger of disturbances in Gokula. As Nanda Maharaj thought about the danger for his beautiful son, he was afraid. Sankita. He took shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller. The Supreme Controller for him is Narayana. He's Vaishnava. And Narayana is the Supreme, so he's praying to Narayana. So one might wonder, wait a minute, this is Vaikuntha. And Vaikuntha means no anxiety, so he is an anxiety. What's going on here? Explanation. The residents of Vrindavan are eternally dear to Lord Krishna, and they're perfectly situated in the highest platform of spiritual happiness, free from all contact with material energy. In other words, the anxiety is not a material energy emotion. It's a transcendental. If you're a follower of Rupa Goswami, you'll learn about transcendental emotion. So we're followers of Rupa, so we should know what the distinction between the transcendental and mundane. We're very familiar with the mundane. What's transcendental? What's transcendental anxiety? Vaikuntha doesn't mean no anxiety, it means no material anxiety. It doesn't mean no form, it means no material form. No, it doesn't mean no emotion, it means no material emotion. That there's transcendental emotions in the transcendental realm. Later, in the 11th chapter of this canto, in this way all the cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj enjoyed topics about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great transcendental pleasure, and they could not even perceive material tribulations. Just to underscore the emotions and the conversation and the everything is on the transcendental plane. In other words, transcendence doesn't mean negation. Definition by negation is quite incomplete. Neti, not this, not this, not this. There is, so one can think of anxiety as a negative emotion, or, transcendentally speaking, anxiety can be an impetus for intensifying one's love for Krishna. That's what happened to Nanda. He's already paternal affection. It was magnified or intensified or spiked by the words of Vasudeva. Chinta is the Sanskrit word for anxiety. And for those who are readers of Rupa Goswami's writings, it's one of the vyabhachari bhavas, or the bodily symptoms, manifest in ecstatic love. Now a little bit, not too much, a little bit of the science of rasa. The Rupa Goswami Nectar Devotion class for 2 minutes. Rasa has as its foundation sthai bhava. Sthai bhava, translated in English, is steady ecstasy, or it's the primary emotion of a soul in 5 categories, because it's not rasa yet. Rasa is when that sthai bhava becomes stimulated by 5 additional rasas. One of them is this vyabhachari bhava. And so that's the steady bhava, sthayi bhava, becomes stimulated in this way, that way, the other way, and then what happens is there's rasa. What's rasa? Rasa is a taste, a mellow, a flavor, just like, those of you that do cooking. There are ways that one preparation can taste slightly different, slightly different, slightly different, based upon how you apply heat and how you apply spices and how you do the whole thing. And those that are really, really expert cooks, they're not just know how to mix this and that. They know how to do it in such a way that it's very flavorful. And that flavor is rasa. So we speak of, in ISKCON, we're accustomed to the 5 primary rasas. We know the 5. But the basis of that 5 is 1 plus 5. 1, sthāyi bhava. 5, the mixing of the stimulation of ecstatic love by the different, and these vyabhichari bhavas, sanchari bhava, anubhava, etc. They're temporary. They come, it's like a wave in a river. They rise, but then the wave doesn't stay up, it subsides, and some other wave comes up, some other wave. So rasa is compared, there's a mood in parental affection, for example, where it's the primary mood, it's the primary rasa. And there's sub-features of that primary rasa. One of them is anxiety. If you're a parent, you know what anxiety is. If you don't have anxiety and you're a parent, there's something wrong with your parenting. So, now how to transcendentalize that anxiety? It's by Krishna consciousness. There's the material. It's well known. Embodied souls know material emotions that connected to the body. This body connected to that body, and there's emotion. The science of rasa is connect that emotion to Krishna, and it becomes rasa. Okay, so enough nectar devotion class. In chapter 14 of Canto 10, this is Brahma speaking to Krishna. My dear master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and imitate material life just to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyment for your surrendered devotees. That is, Krishna does different things at different times to stimulate the ecstatic love or varieties of ecstatic enjoyment. The bhavas, the source of everything is Krishna, including the different bhavas that arise in transcendence. Krishna is the source. They're his energies, they're his potencies, and they're moving about in order to stimulate ecstatic love in his devotees. So similarly, just like we're not in the pastime, we're reading the pastime, we're hearing about the pastime. But the power, we heard the very, very beginning for those who came a little late, the power even of hearing about these pastimes has the potency to stimulate and awaken transcendental emotion in relation to Krishna. Just sound vibration is not different than the pastime itself, and it has the potency. We're kind of dull, so we don't feel all of those transcendental emotions, but the potency is there. The purpose is, that's the purpose. Attachment to Krishna, and in attachment to Krishna, then the stimulation of ecstatic emotion. Whenever there is danger, the pure devotee thinks of the protection and shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's when we feel that we're in difficulty. What to speak of when Krishna is in difficulty? What do you do when Krishna is in difficulty? You feel some emotion. And if you're Nanda Maharaj, you pray to Narayana, please protect my son. Those of you that like reading Prabhupada's books, you know that there are 6 principles of surrender, symptoms, lakshana, characteristics of surrender. And one of those characteristics is one feels always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One of the limbs, primary limbs, seek protection and feel protected. Rakshiti Vishvasa. That's the Sanskrit. And is there danger in this world? You bet there's danger in this world. And so what do people do? They take shelter of Krishna. Those who are surrendered. According to Bhagavad Gita, the material world is anityam and asukham. Temporary and miserable. It's not a place of happiness. By design, it's not a place of happiness. On the left, there's something that looks nice. On the right, it's after it got smashed. And everything in this world is going to get smashed, whatever it is. I mean, not just a big house. Everything. Name it. Whatever it is, it's going to get smashed by the time energy. It's anityam. And is there happiness? Well, happiness, by definition, isn't just it feels good. Because the feels good can become the feels bad. That's the nature of duality. This, wait a while, becomes that. It's asat, impermanent, or anityam, ashashvatam. It's impermanent. And so the real thing has substance. You know this example? Here's the example. The reflection has no substance. Okay? Here's a mirror. Here's an apple. And here's the reflection of the apple in the mirror. Looks like an apple. There's no substance. There's no nourishment. Looks just like it. That's an apple. Here's the color. Here's its size. Here's da-da-da-da. It's an apple. Not an apple. It's a reflection of an apple. Similarly, in this world, it's a reflection of the spiritual world. We're going to be discussing it during the Sunday class about Durga, the reflection, and Durga, the original. For your information, especially Vaishnavas, we're all Vaishnavas. The original Durga is one of the names and one of the features of the Swarup Shakti of Krishna. I'll say it again. The Swarup Shakti, you'll say it in reverse order. The Swarupa Shakti is his personal forms, potencies. His Swarup Shakti has different divisions. One of them is the spiritual Durga. And this one, the people commonly approach for worship, a Navaratri, and whatever they may worship, it's the material counterpart. It's the not substantial reflection. Chaya Devi is one of her names. She's a reflection of what? She's the reflection of the original. The original is Krishna's Swarup Shakti. So Krishna is the origin of all things, and all things that exist in this world, the reflection of the source of all things, and the diversity that exists in the source of all things. So this is like parental affection. Those of you that are family people, it's a reflection. And it doesn't mean you trash it because it's a reflection. You perform your duties properly because it's natural to do so anyways. All species of life, they look after their offspring. It's natural. It's inborn within the body to produce offspring and to protect the offspring. Then it's another thing to elevate that concept and the emotion and the experience, etc., to the transcendental position. But it requires spiritual vision. When those that have spiritual vision can accomplish that, those that don't can't. And there's ranges in between, a little bit more, a little bit less. And then there's the stage of Krishna consciousness or perfection, Shuddha Bhakti. We discussed that in class this morning at the temple, Shuddha Bhakti. So, in this material world, there's danger at every step. Padam, padam, yadvi padam. This is Brahma's prayers to Krishna, chapter 14, canto 10. Therefore, devotee has no other course than to take shelter of the Lord at every step. Danger at every step, take shelter at every step. Every step. Supposing you're motionless, you're going to take a step at some point in time. Even in the motionless state, dependent upon Krishna. Here's Jiva Goswami's commentary. We didn't get very far yet. We're still in the first verse of chapter 6. Nanda surrendered in his mind to Hari, he who destroys all fears, since Vishnu was his family deity, for the auspiciousness of his son. So Vishnu, or Narayana, was his place of shelter. Because the information could not be false, on the way back he especially thought of his son, most attractive, thinking, I do not know what news is there. And so he returned in that mood to his home. So this is all the prelude to the pastime. And Putana is the first demon being sent. There's a very nice commentary, amongst many nice commentaries, on Srimad Bhagavatam. This particular devotee, Srinath Chakravarti Thakur, was the spiritual master of Kavi Karnapur. And he writes this celebrated verse, many of you know the verse, Araju Bhagavan Brajesha Talayas Tadama Vrindavana Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajavadu Vargenava Kalpita. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is to be worshipped along with his transcendental abode Vrindavan. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which was performed by the gopis of Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam is thus spotless authority on everything, and pure love of God is the ultimate goal of life for all men. These statements, for which we have the highest regard, are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so we just crossed over the first verse of Canto 10, Chapter 6. The preparation. Nanda's in Mathura. He's hearing some words of caution from Vasudeva. Hurry, get back as quickly as you can. Danger, Kamsa is wicked. He's sending people. Protect Krishna, please. While Nanda Maharaj was returning to Gokula, the same fierce Putana, whom Kamsa had previously engaged to kill babies, was wandering about in towns, cities, and villages, doing her nefarious activity. There's our lovely Putana, doing her nefarious activity. Now this portrays her as a very evil-looking lady, but as we mentioned, she had shape-changing abilities, so she appeared very beautiful. Jiva Goswami comments, don't worry, only the children connected with Kamsa were killed, because we don't want innocent children to be killed, do we? So Jiva Goswami wants to reassure us. This verse tells the news of Vraja. Although previously Kamsa's ministers persuaded him to afflict the sages, fearful Kamsa agreed that Putana should go to kill the infants as a simultaneous method of safety before harassing the sages. Putana was first engaged because she was ferocious in killing infants. She killed them completely. By giving them her poisoned breast, they died immediately. So that's her program. Vishnu Purana speaks of Putana's program. In a moment, Putana killed any child to whom she offered her breast. So they're good companions, right? Kamsa and Putana. This is a Back to Godhead magazine extract. Witches can play their black art only where there is no chanting or hearing of the holy name of Krishna. It is said because she is not only a Rakshasi, she is a Pishachi. She's a witch. So witches can't do anything where there's a chanting going on. Here's a Prabhupada story. One time, Srila Prabhupada was invited to stay at the mansion or, the residence of John Lennon, to visit the Beatles, during those celebrity days of the Beatles. And there was a house that they had planned to put Prabhupada in. And when the servants of Prabhupada went there, they heard from the people that work there that the house is haunted. There's ghosts in this house. I don't know if you want to put your spiritual master in a ghostly haunted house. So they asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, just have kirtan. The ghosts will go away. So that's what they did, and the ghosts went away. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna is done even neglectfully. All bad elements, witches, ghosts, and dangerous elements are driven away. This is certainly true of the place where the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is done seriously, especially in Vrindavan, when the Supreme Lord was personally present. Therefore, the doubts of Nanda Maharaj were certainly based on affection for Krishna. Actually, there was no danger from the activities of Putana, despite her powers. Such witches, there's another nice painting of Putana. Such witches are called K-chari. K means sky, right? Shabda K, Purusham Nishu. K means sky. So, chari, they move about the sky. Witches on broomsticks on Halloween, right? Classic. I asked, because I visit China, I asked, is there a concept? They don't connect it with Halloween, but it's witches travel on broomsticks. No, broomstick is just like, it's also described like a branch of a tree that's broken off. I don't know why, if they're witches, they can fly in the sky, why they need a branch of a tree or a broomstick, but it's their vehicle. They travel about in China too. And in England too, and in India too, and in America also. Not only on Halloween. But chant Hare Krishna, you're okay. This black art of witchcraft is still practiced by some women in the remote northwest side of India. They can transfer themselves from one place to another on the branch of an uprooted tree. Putana knew this witchcraft, and therefore she is described in the Bhagavatam as K-chari. And now we're ready for the third verse of chapter 6. Whenever people are in a position, whenever people in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokula while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present. And Prabhupada comments on this purport. Shukadev Goswami spoke this verse to mitigate the anxiety of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of Krishna, and therefore when he understood that Putana was causing disturbances in Gokula, he was somewhat perturbed. although this is a past event, he is a devotee at heart, so his heart is disturbed. Krishna is in difficulty. It's just pastime, but he's feeling in his heart. So expertly, Shukadeva Goswami wants his heart to become calm. Shukadeva Goswami therefore assured him that there was no danger in Gokula. Similarly, commentary at Sita Mahamantra. Understand this essential fact. Life is temporary and full of all kinds of miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business. That's Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He wrote many, many songs in Bengali. One of them is a series of songs called Gitavali. And Aruna Daya Kirtan is the reading Mangalarti song, chant the holy name. Jiva Goswami writes, it was said that Putana killed children in the towns and villages. What happened to Nanda's boys? Nanda's boys means these two, Krishna Balaram. This verse answers, where there is no hearing during sacrifices and other duties mainly for attaining one's material goals, what to speak of not having hearing as their main item, the demons will afflict. Hearing about the devotee destroys the demons, what to speak of hearing about the Lord. So it's reassurance, everything is fine. Disturbances arranged by the Lord were produced by the Lord's Lila Shakti, according to the Lord's rasas. Now there's this whole science of rasa and the whole science of transcendental emotion involving many leelas. And Lila Shakti is one of those many leelas. Not this time because it's taking too long already. But there's a relationship between Yogamaya and Lila Shakti. They're not the same. They're similar, but they're not the same. In Vrindavan, who's Yogamaya? Purnamasi. Purnamasi is Sandipani Muni's mother. Purnamasi is Yogamaya. So when Purnamasi knew that Krishna was going to appear in Braja, she is the mother of Sandipani Muni. She went to Braja even before Krishna appeared. Sandipani Muni became his teacher later, 11 years old. But before 11 years old, he's not even born yet, Purnamasi came to town. And everyone had deep regard. She was elder Brahmani, and by character, by persona, she's this elevated, exalted, powerful personality. So they all had great regard for her. So much regard for her that in the village, they wouldn't make any major decision without consulting Purnamasi. So she had full control of what people did and didn't do. She gave their blessings, stuff happened. If she said no, didn't happen. It wasn't just, she's orchestrating Krishna's pastimes. That's what Yogamaya does. And there's Lila Shakti, which is different than Yogamaya. In Vrindavan, who is the personification of Krishna's Lila Shakti? Name starts with a V. Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi, as Purnamasi is Krishna's Yogamaya, Vrinda Devi is Krishna's Lila Shakti. So they conspire together a lot. Purnamasi has a desire. She communicates her desire to Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi's off she goes. She takes care of what Purnamasi wants. They're different persons, different functions, but they work together. but they're not the same. So through the agency, all of this is just through the agency of Krishna's Leela Shakti. I'll read. Disturbances arranged by the Lord were produced by the Lord's Leela Shakti, according to the Lord's rasas, in order to increase Yashoda's prema for Krishna. Because what's going on? Yashoda and Nanda are eternally, not just in Leela, they're eternally the mother and father of Krishna. So there's a Leela where Krishna becomes their son, or foster son. And Balaram becomes the son of Rohini, who's placed in the care of Nanda, so they're like mother and father to Krishna and Balaram. That's the Leela part. And then the rasa part is being stimulated by the Leela part. Say it again. Krishna's pastimes are for stimulating the love of the eternal associates of Krishna. Krishna appears to stimulate, to churn, accelerate, amplify the feelings of love of his eternal associates. And then for us, just to hear, it has the same potency, depending upon the heart, the orientation of the heart. And what determines the orientation of the heart? What you're attached to. Isn't it? What you're attached to determines the orientation of the heart. So if your heart becomes oriented, if you become attached to Krishna, going back to before some of you came in, hearing Krishna book, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, 10th canto pastimes of Krishna from whatever the source is, it has the effect of cleansing and attaching one to the object, Krishna. Just by what we're doing right now, of this time spent together, hearing Krishna's childhood pastimes. The purpose, cleanse and awaken. And awakening, when it becomes matured, becomes attachment. The attachment, then you can experience transcendental emotion. Without that attachment, you won't experience transcendental emotion. You'll experience the other kind. It's not like shame on you for having a worldly emotion, but it's not like that. It's just elevate that worldly emotion to a transcendental emotion. How? Become attached to Krishna. How? The holy name. And hearing with that heart that has become cleansed from the chanting of the holy name, hearing these wonderful pastimes, which Krishna does to stimulate the love of his eternal associates and to awaken us simultaneously. Especially compliments of great acharyas like Jiva Goswami, so we know what's going on. The Leela Shakti is composed of Shri, Bhu, and Leela. These three Shaktis of Vaikuntha are well known in the Padma Purana. This Shakti is described as Tulsi in Vrinda, in the Kartik Mahatmya Padma Purana. So Leela Shakti, and a feature of Leela Shakti is Vrinda Devi. And those that read the pastimes of Krishna and the associates of Krishna and the gopis, etc., will hear Vrinda's name mentioned again and again. We hear Vrinda's name mentioned again and again. By the assistance of Jiva Goswami and great acharyas, we can know what's going on. She is just under the instruction of Krishna, Krishna's Leela Shakti. Now he may give some agency to Yogamaya. You give her some service, please. Or he may ask her directly, or whatever. But it's Krishna's potency stimulating the love of the eternal associates and stimulating our love. She is called Vrinda in Krishna's pastimes and lives in Vrindavan. According to Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Vrinda is a special personification of Krishna's great Leela Shakti. So this is bonus information, compliments of Jiva Goswami to understand the pastime a little bit better. Or, he writes, it is an answer to the question, did she kill the babies? The answer is the same. Others who were inimical to the Lord were killed by him. Thus it is shown that Kamsa was foolish. This was all arranged by the Lord. The coming of the demons was for the purpose of increasing the pastimes of the Lord, which produce bliss for all people. These disturbances, arranged by the Lord, were produced by the Lord's Leela Shakti according to the Lord's rasas, in order to increase Yashoda's prema for Krishna. The Leela Shakti is composed of Shri, Bhu, and Leela, same. This is Padma Purana. Now we're going to go to Bhakti Sandarbha. Bhakti Sandarbha is one of the 6 Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. And in Bhakti Sandarbha, he describes Bhakti removes fear of wicked jivas. And this is Jiva Goswami, gives the following example. When Hiranyakashipu could not kill his innocent son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him the huge snakes, employing destructive spells, hurling him from the tops of hills, conjuring up illusory tricks, imprisoning him, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold winds, fire, and water, throwing heavy stones on him to crush him, he began to contemplate the situation deeply. He did not succeed in killing him. Making a summation of Canto 7, Chapter 5 verses. The elephant tusks were harder than thunderbolts, but Prahlad did not feel them. From Vishnu Purana. From Narada Purana. When a person worships Vishnu, there are no obstacles, no wicked kings, no thieves, and no illness, pretas, pishachas, kushmandas, bala grahas, dakshinis, and rakshasas do not obstruct the worshipper of Vishnu. There's a photograph of Prabhupada going for a morning walk. There's Srila Prabhupada sitting in the storefront at 26 2nd Avenue. And were there obstacles and were there persons providing difficulty? For sure. Oh, Vidura, how can miseries arise from the body, mind, ghost, other humans, or natural conditions bind up a person who has taken shelter of the Lord? Garuda Purana. When a person's mind is fixed on Vishnu, the curse of Durvasa and the thunderbolts of Indra cannot harm him. This is the end. We're finished for this evening. You recognize the painting, this Durvasa Muni. Basically because of his enviousness of the king. I'm Durvasa, I'm a Brahmana, I'm this powerful dude. And there's this king that gets more respect than me. So he didn't like that. And so this thing, that thing, the other thing happened. He created a fiery demon to kill Maharaj Ambarish. And Maharaj Ambarish was protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, defeating the power of Durvasa Muni. So even when the greatest of danger may come, of course, it depends on how great you are. If you're as great as Ambarish, then nothing. And if you're not Ambarish in greatness, something may affect you. But many things proportionate to your confidence that Krishna will protect you, you're protected. It's that simple. But that takes purity. It can't be artificial, can't be cosmetic. It has to be genuine. And when a genuine sense of shelter taking is there, one is protected. It's just the nature of bhakti. So we're finished with part one of the story of Putana, and we'll go much more quickly tomorrow, but part two tomorrow. And then the carrying forward Krishna's childhood pastimes in Braja, filled with madhurya or sweetness. And this sweetness is meant to stimulate, to cleanse and awaken, to stimulate our ecstatic love for Krishna, our attachment for Krishna, appreciation of not just his majesty, but the sweetness of Krishna, become attracted and eventually attached. Like our great acharyas have, following them, we may also go in that direction. We have a long way to go. But that's okay. We have to be, a long journey begins one step at a time. So let's see if that was a wake up. If anyone was asleep, you're now awake. Let's see if there's some questions, and maybe we'll do it without the microphone because we don't want a screaming microphone again. Comments or questions? Yes. Speak loud enough so people over there can hear you.
Here, Putana is described as a sister of Kansa. Is there like, how is like she was described as a sister? Maybe she was like some fashion biologically related, or Kansa accepted her as a sister, or was there a relation between those two?
Well, so those of you that may have come late, towards the very beginning, the backdrop is portrayed differently in different Puranas. In one of them, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, mention is made that Putana was the younger sister of Kamsa. Doesn't mention that elsewhere, but it mentioned it there. It doesn't mean anything other than that's where it's mentioned. So your question, I'm not clear what your question is when Kamsa called Putana, depends on the version of that. Did he understand he's calling his sister, or did he understand he's simply calling a personality who has powers granted to them by Durvasa Muni? And it depends on the version that you're familiar with or capable of accepting. In either case, it's the main principle is one: kill Krishna. Before Krishna gets his chance to kill me, I'm going to kill him. He's my enemy. I'm going to kill him. So he has his agents. He's a king. So whether the agent was his sister or some Rakshasi off there in his kingdom somewhere, it's not the essential point. The relationship, just an instrument to kill Krishna. That's all. And she has skills given to her by Durvasa Muni. She's good. She was already known to be capable of killing children, so it was a good assignment for her. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Krishna Maharaj, very beautiful class, like lots of informations. Thank you for that. Maharaj, I have one question. Like, I got confused in one of the slides. You have mentioned that Tulasi and Brinda.
Yes.
So, Tulasi Maharani and Brinda Devi, are they different?
They're related in the sense of being carriers or bearers of the Lord's Leela Shakti. Both of them, Brinda and Tulsi, are bearers or carry the potency of the Lord's Leela Shakti. They're different personalities, they're different manifestations, but they bear that potency on behalf of Krishna to do different things on behalf of Krishna. Okay? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, the words are different. The siddhanta behind the words is they both are bearers of the Lord's Leela Shakti. So Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, we may call Vrinda Devi, Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi. The terminology may be interchangeable. In the past times, there are different personalities. In the Leela, in Braja, there are different personalities. But the Leela Shakti, that's the main thing is for us to appreciate. Krishna's orchestrating pastimes to stimulate, turn the emotions of his eternal associates, those who love him deeply, and for our benefit to hear those pastimes, to attract our hearts and our minds to them. So Tulsi Devi is very special. I mean, isn't she? Offerings properly are to be done with a leaf from Tulsi, etc. Tulsi has the capacity of awakening the gift of love for Krishna. A japamala, or ideally, that always depends on the marketplace in Vrindavan where you go, but it's Tulsi tree, Tulsi branch. She's touching Tulsi while chanting the holy name. It's so she has a special place. Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi. Okay, looks like we're online questions. Okay. Why not? Yes. 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 It's not all demons killed by Bhagavan achieve liberation. All demons killed by Krishna achieve liberation. According to our, the Vaishnava teachings, all the soldiers killed on the Kurukshetra battle field in Krishna's presence achieved liberation, just because of Krishna's presence. Krishna came to annihilate the demoniac kings, and when they were annihilated, they achieved liberation. How merciful is Krishna? It's just a glorification or an exhibition of the merciful nature of Krishna. That's how. Why not? Next. Oh, that's rasa. How do you have rasa if Krishna is the origin of everything? Then how do you have rasa? Because there's entities that come from Krishna, and in the relationship of the entities that come from Krishna, there's rasa. Let's go back to what does Nitya Lila mean? Nitya Lila means eternal. So wait a minute. How do you have Nitya Lila when Krishna is the source of everything? That means, how do you have Lila? How do you have Nitya anything? Because all there is Krishna. So, but it's not like once upon a time there wasn't Nanda and Jasoda, and then some time passed and Krishna said, I'd like a mother and father, and poof, there's Nanda Jasoda. Now Krishna is the origin, but we can say they're co-eternal. Nanda and Jasoda are as eternal as Krishna is, although by Siddhanta, he's the source of Nanda and Jasoda. Or he's the source of everything. He's the source of the spiritual world. He's the source of Rasa Vaisaha. He is Rasa. So included in he is Rasa is the associates with whom he has these loving exchanges or Rasa exchanges. Not a country. The problem, there isn't a problem. It appears to be a problem if you place teachings as if they're events in time. That's the problem. We have a tendency to superimpose our experience on the spiritual realm, where it's the other way around. So Krishna is the source of everything. How can they be his eternal parents? Because he's the source of his parents. So how can they be his eternal parents? It's eternal. It's a relationship. It's not a chronological event. It's an ontological reality. Now, that maybe is a challenge for persons that are kind of fixed and attached to seeing things from the lens of their experience of time as we know it. But it's not, there's eternal time. We'll say the same thing. Same thing. How do you have events where there's no passage of time, when events as we know it, there's passage of time? To walk across the floor from where I'm sitting to the hall over there, it takes some time, however much time it takes. I can go swift, I can go slow, but it's going to take some time. So how do you have events where there's timelessness? Because we only know events through passage of time. But the answer is yes. Is there such a thing as events that no time passes? Not even a fraction of a moment passes. It's eternal pastime. We don't have the experience of that. We have the experience of past, present, and future time. What's eternal time? Nanda Jasoda are Krishna's mother and father. No problem. Eternal time is very flexible. And one more time. The difficulty is when we see things and try to understand things through the lens of our experience, like time, past, present, and future time. And there's no past, no present, eternal presence, and no future. Pastimes. It's of another realm. Get used to it, Prabhus. That's spiritual reality. It's like a topic that devotees can spin out on. My experience is, the fall of the jiva question. How did it happen? It's so nice in the spiritual world. We fell from the spiritual world. How did it happen? As if it's an event in time. Once upon a time, I was in the spiritual world. And I looked at my watch and said, I want to enjoy separately from Krishna. I want to experience what that's like. And boop, we felt as if it's a past, present, future event in time. Now, is there such a thing as events that are not within time? Same question. The answer is yes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, and in English, because it was published in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, His Life and Precepts, that very skinny book describing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, His Life and Precepts, in English, 1896. 1896. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Little skinny book. Do not ask the misleading question. When were the living entities created? That sounds like an event in time. Once upon a time, there wasn't living entities. Krishna looked at his watch and said, you know what? I think I'd like to enjoy. Boop, there's living entities. As if it's an event in time. When the living entities are created itself is a misleading question. And how the living entities, when and how the living entities were enthralled is a misleading question. As if it's an event in time. Is there such a thing as events that are not in time? Yes. Misuse of free will is an ontological experience, it's not a chronological experience. And the same thing as, Mother Yasoda and Nanda are his parents. Although he's the source of everything, how can he have parents? Because that means they're older. How they can be parents? It's a rasa. And they that's their rasa with Krishna. Parental affection. Get used to it. It's another reality. It's a whole other paradigm. Don't look at the spiritual paradigm through the lens of your material way of looking at things. You may be really good at looking at things better than the next person. It's inadequate in principle if it's not based on transcendental sound vibration, making the whole slate clean and then getting a picture that's the transcendental picture. And we may have to move back and forth between the two pictures, but there's a transcendental picture. And that's what we're given in Krishna's pastimes. That's what we're going to be spending time doing together during this visit. The home visits is going to be on this topic, Krishna's pastimes and Braja, the sweetness and transcendence. So we'll end. When I left Singapore to come to back to America, somebody very kindly gave me some Mahaprasadam from Vrindavan in a box. No? This is local? Okay. Okay, you have to wait till tomorrow for that other prasadam. See it tomorrow for Vrindavan prasadam. Krishna Balaram Mahaprasadam tomorrow. This is local temple prasadam. Transcendental. No competition. Srila Prabhupada.